you to incarnate,
This should be
to
happening.
take on a physical form, if possible, so that we can see you.
I'm
Because
here.
at this moment,
This is ridiculous.
you are the void. Yep. Please emerge from the sunken place. Please emerge from the sunken place.
I'm here. I'm here. This is ridiculous. So what are we talking about today?
Okay, all right. I'll say it again.
I mean, I know what we're talking about, but I don't know, did you have notes or did you just want to speak more off the cuff or?
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the abyss, the black hole of the Enneagram. Now, we've basically referring to the gap at the bottom of the Enneagram. And so we're going to look at it from a couple of different angles because 4, 5, and 9 have each have their own relationship with the void or the gap or the abyss. And so we could explore that. And I'm also just interested in what the gap represents in terms of the process of the Enneagram symbol and just symbolically and what it represents in the collective psyche. I want to start a series on the abyss. And so this is the first go around. And because you and I both have 5 and 4 fixes and you are, 9, 5, 4, so you got all the abyss types, we can uniquely talk about this. And eventually I'm going to do another episode where I get into the back rooms, which is a whole nother topic for those who've gone under with ketamine. And that would be another angle to explore the abyss or the void. But yeah, this has been an interesting thing that I've been thinking about at some point or another for the past 5 years. So just to come around to actually do an episode on it. So yeah, welcome back everybody to the House of Enneagram. I'm here with Sammy, who hasn't appeared in real life very much or on this pod very much, but she's here today because she's 954 and we're going to talk about the abyss. We're going to talk about the void and we're going to talk about the withdrawn types and we're going to talk about the role that the abyss, the black hole of the Enneagram, what role that plays collectively, symbolically, and in the process of the Enneagram. So, all right, I'm going to start with sort of a definition or an overview of what the abyss in the Enneagram is. When you look at the Enneagram and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a gap between 4 and 5, and that is not accidental because the Enneagram is not just a system of personality types. It is, first of all, a symbol that describes a process, and the gap between 4 and 5 represents the bottomless pit or bottomless black hole. There's an unknown sort of space where something has to die, like you could say ego death, in order for something to be reborn. So that place in between in the Enneagram of process is where you have to die to whatever you thought you were doing. The Enneagram of process could be applied to so many different things, but as you embark on anything, there is a point where you're so far from the beginning that you have to reassess why you're doing what you're doing. And generally you come out of that completely reborn in terms of what you're trying to do. And so anytime you're trying to do something, there's a sense that you go through this dark tunnel where you don't know if you're going to come out the other side. And you come out the other side where you start thinking that whatever I thought this was is not what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. And so there's a sense of that space is something that we're all afraid of, which is death. And so 4 and 5 and 9 have a unique relationship to that space. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. First of all, 9 is at the top of the Enneagram, so the crown of the Enneagram represents the beginning. Whenever you start a process, you start at 9. The integration of 9 with all the different types is like bright light, like the sunlight. So at sunlight, you don't have much of a shadow because you're trying to see everything. But then when you get to 4 and 5, that's just absolute shadow. And 4 and 5 as types sort of represent that sort of peering into the abyss. And so all the withdrawn types, 4, 5, and 9, have this unique relationship to the abyss, where 9 is the opposite of it, trying to integrate and see all, and 4 and 5 are sort of like 5 from the head center has its own relationship to the abyss, and 4 from the heart center has a different relationship to the abyss. So just maybe start riffing on what you're seeing in terms of what's coming up for you in terms of 9, 4, and 5, in terms of the abyss and the gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this before. I think because I'm coming at it as a 9, I kind of see my own relationship to those two types and how I see it in myself. It's more like I want to see like the underpinning behind the surface level things that we take for granted, and I want to peer into it, and I want to see what it is, and I want to, I don't know, like build a sort of home in that place, not to like become enmeshed in this like shadowy space, like not for no reason, but so that I can.
It still feels like you want to bring it up to the light. Like it's like there's something about, like when you say home, it feels like you're looking into the shadowy space, but there's something you want to extract that can come up to the light.
Yeah. It's always something like to be in that space or to peer into that space for like the sake of learning or understanding something, and like just seeing something from a level that would completely transform you.
Right.
That would transform something like innate, like something like in your cells, like in your understanding of reality and other things like that. And it's just, it's a place of transformation, but it's happening in a very, like self-directed space where like you're peering so deeply inwards and turning all these things over that you thought you knew. And now it's like you have to kind of rebuild from this space, like everything, like from this bottom space to the higher space. And how do you do that with like everything changing, like the way you're seeing things, feeling things? It's not always like a scary place, but it's a place of a lot of depth, and it's where you like rebuild things from the ground up, like the very like underground, like deep in the ground.
Yeah, it's like a subterranean type of vortex. Because when you think about 4 as a type by itself, what it represents is when you get to 4, there are these very, very acute, very specific preferences where we're discerning one thing or separating one thing from the other. We're charging things up emotionally so that we can differentiate one thing from the next. And so there is this sense of emotional separation where you're discriminating from one thing to the differences between things. And so there is an identification with the nothingness with both 4 and 5, but 4 is doing it from an emotional landscape point of view. And then when you get into the gap, which is just nothing, the void of that's where ego death and the sort of terror of emptiness itself. 5 on the other side is peering into this tomb essentially and digging through the corpse to dig up some sort of insight. But it's coming from the head center, so this trying to build like a frame up orientation around these kernels of insight that you're digging from the corpse of existence. And so there's a morbidity with 4 and 5 because they're adjacent to the abyss, or they're next to the abyss, and they're digging into this shadow material, which is the subterranean transformation where I don't know what form things are going to take, and new things are being born in that state. And the other thing that I was thinking about that's interesting about the position of 4 and 5 in the gap relative to 9 or the body center is that it's the furthest away from being embodied. So these types have this existential fear of nothingness, of this inadequacy of personhood. And 4 is doing it from identities, 5 doing it from orientation. But that's what the gap represents, that even not necessarily just 4 and 5, but all of humanity, all of us are afraid or have this existential angst that underneath it all is just nothing. Or that eventually this is going to all end. We're all going to die. So there's this underpinning of existential despair that in a way sort of gives everything that we're doing meaning. Because that's sort of the thing that personality and ego is kind of all built around, is what do you do about that underlying sort of like void that there is nothing, or it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And it's like, just like the knowing or the understanding that like things are going to end, that there is this like void space, this unknown of what happens when we die, all of that stuff. Like, I think like with 4 and 5, it makes the drive like that much stronger to extract something so singular, to find this like essential truth, whether it's like something very beautiful or something very pointed and singular about like reality, like it's just, the drive is there, like, but it's revved up like extra because they're constantly like weighing the fact that like, we're like weighing these two extremes, like, with death on one end of the extreme, and they're always like tilting in that direction.
I don't know if this is something David has said. It sounds like something David would say, but that at the top of the Enneagram, if you were put the sun at the top of the Enneagram, in like the midday sun, when the sun is directly above you, it's hard to see your shadow. But when you get to the dark, it's all shadow. And so part of what 9 is doing is, in an attempt to see it all, to integrate all, you end up diminishing sort of the dark or the negative sides of things. And so, you could say that all the types are either different notes or different colors of light, like maybe different colors of the rainbow. And 9 sort of represents the integration, bright white light. But it's harder to see shadow at 9. And so then when you get to 4 and 5, that's the opposite. And so the Enneagram sort of like has this yin yang right at the center, down the center of 9 versus the gap, where the gap represents death or darkness or nothing, and 9 represents life or the initiation or the integration of everything. And I just don't think that there hasn't been very much, I haven't seen very much about this, but it seems like it's interesting to me how the Enneagram contains such a powerful, symbolic, cosmic truth, that's across all spiritual traditions, where it's like there's this life and death in the symbol. That's really cool, just to see how each of the withdrawn type, they do have this clear relationship to the void. And these are the types that in their own way are dispersing. Like 4 and 5 is like exploding into the self or curling into nothingness, and 9 is dispersing into the all. They're doing their own weird distortion, but in relationship to the void.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting to think of 9 as like having relationship to the void, but because of like the nature of the type itself and how expansive it is, and like the energetic space, like that's going to encompass like everything energetically, like things that are very light and things that are like very dark, and like just seeping into both, and how there's like confusion between the two sometimes, where it's like there's so much light and there's so much dark, so it's like, what is the truth and what is, things can kind of get confusing and dispersed. But it's funny. I was like, before we started recording, I was watching the Michael Gira episode that you guys just did.
Yeah.
I didn't finish it, but it was interesting because with him, like being a 9 with 5 and 4 fixes, he is like kind of universalizing that 5-4
Yes.
void space.
Right.
And, even if you don't have those fixes, but you're a 9, like there's still going to be experiences where you're experiencing some darkness or some transformative experience where you're going to like, be doing something similar to that. And
Yeah.
it's just interesting how 9 can do that.
Yeah. I was thinking about just more some symbolism here, but like near-death experiences and birth, and how in both cases there's a dark tunnel and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So like, let's say 9 is the light at the end of the tunnel, and the gap or the abyss is the tunnel of the void, the death of transformation.
The passage you have to like move through
in order to get to the other side.
Like, like when you're born, like, and you're going through that, you're in this like slime. It's like suffocating. You're coming out. It can't be that comfortable. I mean,
oh yeah.
It's
horrible.
I don't know.
It's despair.
Yeah, it's not good. You don't want to. You trying to get out, and with near death experiences, and your physical body is dying. That's not comfortable. Like, so now it's like the higher energetic centers are like coming, and it's like,
Yeah, and people always describe it the same way. It's like, I'm in a tunnel, and I'm moving towards the bright light.
Mm-hmm. But and that's like, you're in like a dark, like you're moving through this like very narrow space, like just moving towards it. And it's like you have to walk. There's no way, there's no shortcut to get around there. Like we have to go through this like initiation process each time.
Yeah.
The way we come is like the way that we leave. And what does it mean to be cycling that like constantly,
Yeah. I think about when people talk about the dark night of the soul, or the valley of the shadow of death, where you go through this harrowing experience and then you come out the other side transformed. It is very similar to being born, because the birth is a very traumatic experience.
It is, yeah. I've been seeing a lot lately about how like at the end of the year we die somehow, so that in the new year, like we can be rebirthed into this new self, and like it's like normal and important to die every single year, like symbolically, and just to reflect on like where we've been and what we're doing, and
things have to dissolve. You have to, like, whatever the form of the previous year has to be melted and reconstituted. And
how you moved through things throughout the year, like just knowing like how it's like having that like discriminating or discerning sense about like what was working, what wasn't working, how can I move through things differently, and how can I, like what needs to be dissolved or shed or destroyed or burned or whatever, so that I can step into this like new thing that needs to happen and grow and evolve. And like, you're not going to get there from just staying the same. It's like it's like normalizing that like change is inevitable, but for deep change, like you have to like deeply integrate things, and you have to like shed the deep stuff that comes from like going inwards and looking into yourself and seeing what's not working anymore, and that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and the thing about that is that this is not supposed to be comfortable. Like it is the unknown, and it's not to say that you will know, or you will know what's going to come on the other side. Like and generally people are forced to go through this when they experience pain, when something terrible happens, like maybe a death or a horrible breakup, something that stops them in their tracks, that forces them to go through that tunnel where it's like, I don't know what this means. I don't know who I am. And it's like they have to dissolve the sense of self, have something similar to an ego death of sorts, of whoever they thought they were or what they were trying to do, to come out the other side. And this is a little bit of a pivot. One's comfort level with that sense of, I'm going to jump into this bottomless ocean and I'm going to let it take me where I'm supposed to go, can even show up in general creatively. Like, I mean, I think in order
Absolutely.
to be creative, you have to be willing to jump into that, that unknowable void where I don't know if what's going to turn out on the other side. And
Yeah.
on a personal level, that is always the case, where it's like we all try to control things in our own way, in the style of our personality, whatever. But there is an element of surrendering to the process of transformation, that this thing or this experience is going to teach me something or is going to make me something, and I don't have a real control of that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna what I thought is going to die in the process of this, and something else is going to come on the other side, and I don't really have any control of what that's going to be.
Exactly. And even if you're not a creative person or an artist, I think to even like appreciate a work of art, you have to let something of yourself move aside so you can let the experience of whatever art form it is, like a painting or like a book or a piece of music, so you can let it in and affect you, like actually affect you and transform something in you. And so you can feel whatever it is that it's bringing up for you. Maybe it's just like pure beauty, or maybe it's like, it's something that just shakes you up into something more like instinctual, like you have to be willing to let something move through you. And that means like setting something that was previously there aside.
Yeah.
And that's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable to let something in and to not know how it's going to affect us. It's
Yeah.
like, but when you do come out at the other side, it always has changed something for the better.
Another thing I was thinking about between this relationship between 4, 5, and 9, still with the analogy that 9 is bright sunlight. I was thinking of, I'm sure you've seen one of those experiments, the light slit experiment, where they send a light through a prism or to a slit, and it splits off. And I think the first time I was just imagining like, oh, the white light and it splits off into like a rainbow or something. But there's actually another experiment where a flow of light is split into 2 parts. And so I forget the exact name of the experiment. I want to look it up because somebody's going to want to know. Hold on, let me find it.
Yeah, look it up, because I know what you're talking about with the prism.
Okay, so it's called
but I
the
don't know.
double slit experiment. So the flow of light is split into 2 parts. One passes through the slit, producing on the other side a bright line, a ray of light. Simultaneously, the reflected dispersed white light from the surface of the mirror contains a dark line starting from the position of the slit. It lies near at hand to think of it that this ray of darkness is due to the absence of light that is transmitted through the slit. And that struck me as light from 9 hits the gap, splits off into a ray of darkness and a ray of light. And let's say, you could say 5 is the sort of the penetrating light that can see through things like an X-ray. And 4 it's like this unknowable depth. Like 4 is like the emotional center landscape. And so there's like an ocean of, like, emotions are like ocean, a sea, and it's like endless depth, and you can't see. It's just dark. Like 4 has more of a romanticism with the void, whereas 5 has more of a it has more of a fear. It's head type has more of a fear around the void in terms of, I want to contain it, I want to freeze it, I want to frame it up. Whereas 4 is like, has more of like I would say like an emotional romance with that sort of negativity or that death. Like, you see how often like 4s sort of romanticize suicide and morbidity, whereas 5 is more like, I'm studying the morbid and I'm studying the corpse and I'm x-raying the body.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, 4s have that like melancholic beauty thing going on, and it's
So, and 5 is trying to detach from it, to sort of deal with the fear. And so I was thinking about that experiment and how, there's a bunch of different ways you can go with light. Like 9, white is the integration of all the different colors of the rainbow, but like that slit experiment felt like an example of the 9-5-4 relationship with the abyss.
That's really good. I I hadn't heard of this before, the double slit experiment.
Yeah, that thing I read was something I copied from the Wikipedia, I think. Just
Oh, okay.
a description of what the thing even is. I was even imagining something else, and I just stumbled upon this, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like you can, this slit experiment splits light into a ray of darkness and a ray of light. I don't fully understand the experiment. I just thought it was a interesting analogy.
Yeah, but symbolic, even
Right.
those words like, ray of light, ray of dark. Like, I mean, you don't have to understand it to like understand
Exactly.
like symbolically like what it's trying to.
There's no 5-wing-6 fix here.
No, we don't need to understand scientific experiments.
No,
We
it's
just
just
need to get the vibe.
just the symbolic vibe is
Extract
enough.
the vibe. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, like 5 is illumination, and 5 is almost seeing too much. It's like you're seeing so much, like seeing through things, and
Yeah.
you're wanting to see as much as possible because that's how 5 is trying to deal with the fear. You're trying to exercise the fear by going as far into the void or the abyss or the morbidity of death. As a rejection type 5 is trying to like expel it and compartmentalize it. Like it's over here.
Yeah.
And so that it's like I want to see as much as possible.
Right. 5 is like it wants to see things from all of the angles, not in the way that like a 9 kind of has like a bird's eye view of things or like a wide view of things, but it's like 5 is like picking up the glass and like trying to see from like, maybe they're like in a hall of mirrors and they're picking up the glass and they're just like getting very deep into one angle, and then there's like another angle it leads down, and it's just all this. Now they're like surrounded by all this glass and all of these mazes and pathways, and it's like having like a bunch of eyes like that go all around your head, to see everything. It's yeah.
And let's see, 4, what is 4 doing? I mean, 4 is identified with the sort of emotional emptiness and inadequacy of everything. There's something wrong with everything. Like everything is rotten.
Yeah, it's like on the pole between disgust, like pure disgust, like just frustration, disgust, and then like pure beauty, like transformative, like pure beauty.
Right. And everything usually falling short of that.
Right, because I think like in the Michael Gira episode, Joseph was saying like when 4s or 4 fixers like find something that really resonates with them and it is beautiful, they do this thing where like they can like really idealize it and hold it to this like perfect pure standard, and of course everything else is going to fall short, and that's why they tend to get like very hyper specific about like what art they like or their aesthetics, and it's just, which I think kind of relates to what you're saying about the void. Like they're seeing like the depth, like they're seeing how beautiful and transformative like things could be in this space. It's just that like everything that happens to come out of it is just not at all what they need.
And idealizing that beauty, that rare beauty, it makes everything else seem just so
hollow,
disgusting,
shallow,
shallow and diseased. Like it's like if this thing is beautiful, that means everything else is ugly. One thing I was going to mention with 9's relationship to the void is because the sun is directly overhead, so it's easier to deny that the shadow or the gap is there. And so a lot of times 9's or a 9 philosophy can be that I don't see it. It's not there. And so not to say that 9's are like this, but like let's say what 9 represents can be this of a sort of denial of shadow material, or a denial of well, if I don't see it, it's not there.
Bypassing, like I think they say 9 is the type to like go through spiritual bypass. Like I don't need to be spiritual or meditate. Like I'm already like so easy,
Right,
it's like
right.
They just don't realize
I've already ascended. Or just a denial that suffering is something that is necessary. Like what it also represents, the gap represents, is a period of time where, I mean, because suffering is the clearest gateway through the kind of meaning that can emerge from the abyss, is the thing that stops you in your tracks and gets you to dissolve, have an ego death, is something terrible.
Or just, I mean, or just any kind of like really intense, really unpleasant, uncomfortable experience, like whether it's suffering or not. Like, I mean, I know for me as a nine, like when I am feeling extra foggy or extra like just like I don't have opinions or feelings on something,
Mm-hmm.
the thing I have to get in touch with is, okay, like what is actually frustrating me? What's making
Mm-hmm.
me angry? Like
Yeah.
what's pissing me? Like just any like extreme, like uncomfortable emotion. And that's when I'm like, oh, wait, this is actually how I feel about this situation or
Yeah.
where I'm at in my life or my relationship or like what my career, like anything, you know? Because like it's too easy to just become totally complacent, like with things happening to me,
Mm-hmm.
because like the instinctual well is just like totally dried up. There's nothing there, like moving it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see with your type with 9, 5, and 4. It's like you're using your relationship to the abyss to sort of get yourself out moving, like to wake yourself up to.
Yeah, you have to. I
And
have to. I feel like I have to. Yeah.
and in my case, I want to take those slivers or that sense of nothingness and I want to blow it up. I want to. It's like part of why I'm interested in the Enneagram is like there are all these little kernels. There are all these little slivers of things that feel like atomic bombs. At least though that's the way I see them. Is
What
like
is
if I
it? What do you mean? Like what feels like an atomic bomb? Like what?
well, it's like let's say the void or the abyss contains to me atomic bombs. So like you go into the nothing. I don't know. Like my personality type, my eightness is like I'm gonna go into that cave. I can't see. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna come out with something, and what I'm gonna come out with is going to be a bomb. It's going to be an apocalyptic truth. It's the kind of thing that once you see it, it completely annihilates what you thought, what you like. It just there's a clear before and after, and essentially my whole personality is constantly looking for either I'm fabricating, taking things that could be apocalyptic truth and like fabricating it and blowing it up so that they can be experienced that way, or I'm looking for something that's already fully formed and is that way. And so, I mean, I'm the follow-up episode to this is going to be about the back rooms and that whole ketamine experience. And to me, that's one of the few experiences I've ever had that felt the most like the way I feel all the time, which is this dark, unknowable place where you're completely separated from your sense of personhood, and there are insights about everything that you can't necessarily articulate or take with you, but they're huge. And so that's essentially how I feel all the time is that,
Really?
I want like the things that I'm getting from that place are atomic. They're just like massive.
I see. I
Or
see.
I want to make them that way. I want people to experience them that way. I want it to be like you got this one little nugget and now you're never going to be the same.
Okay, that I can see. I can see that for you. Um, that's so interesting.
And so sometimes it can feel like I'm taking these apocalyptic truths or I'm trying to create them by pushing things to an extreme into like really potentially morbid territory. You want to go so far underneath or subterranean to find something that it's like, damn, I didn't know we could touch that. I didn't know we could do something with that. What you're doing with it is so potentially explosive. I mean, I think about we've typed a couple 854s and in different fields and, musicians or filmmakers. And it feels like I'm going to go into that void. I'm going to find something that is either so penetrating and so cutting. And when I bring it back, it's going to feel like, wow, that's such a big, take something small and try to make it big. It's like a condensed experience that might be tiny but contains a whole universe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, I think for me it's like it's obviously very different, but it's like if I can hold these two like frequencies or energies within me, without getting like completely lost or immersed in them, then I can use it to have like a deeper relationship with everything, where everything that I do, and everything I share and everything I talk about can be getting closer to that place, but like normalizing it, like seeing it as a normal part of our energetic experience of things, or a normal part of our consciousness, so that it's not so deep into the shadow. Like it's like I want to like be a beacon for someone who can hold it and have it be in the light. Not to like turn it into something light and sparkly, but to make it visible, so that people are not afraid, and that it's just, like holding it in like a calm, like neutral way.
You're actually looking for you're trying to integrate it into so that it's so that my experience of myself and the world around me is like genuinely holistic, and not just holistic in this light space where there is nothing dark or dense, or real, but just like you want to holistically bring the abyss up to the light.
Yes.
in a weird way.
Yes, but it's like it's also so that like so everybody can experience things more deeply and be affected deeply without getting lost in it, like
the experience that I want people to have feels like I want that experience to be severed from anything else that they've ever experienced. So like, when I think about what the zone represents to me, is like there's a place that you go, and when you go, you have an experience, and it's never going to be that experience the next time you go or anytime you've gone before. It's like that experience is completely separate from your sense of self. Like it's like a completely severed experience.
That's
like
I'm only laughing because like the moment you said that, in my head I'm like, it's so different from me. I'm like, how can I take a piece of the zone with me to the grocery store, to my job? How can I be a bit more in depth with things? Like just in
you
my
want to
everyday...
bring it home.
Yes, that's literally bring it home. Bring it in my dreams, while I sleep, while I shop, while I work, in my self-social daily life. My routines.
It's interesting. When I think about these experiences, like they the way that I internally frame it is like these things, that experience is completely its own thing. Like you go in there, and it's like you have to come out of the cave, and in order to have anything similar, you have to go back in there, and then when you go back, you're not going to be the same, and the cave's not going to be the same. Like it's different every single time. And this gets back to this point I want to make, I guess, because we both have 5 and 4 fixes, and there's an interesting thing that we've talked about before of there's this slippery quality to 5 and 4 where in a way it's like if it's the death and birth area, it seems like whatever you extract from there is not static. And so from the point of view of like orientation, for example, when you are, this is the way I experience it, that there is a sort of like, there's a fluid mist about the way my mental center works, in that I might land on something that's insightful. And even this conversation, things that are coming up, they're very insightful. And I might come back and think about it later, and I'll be like, what the fuck was that? There's a way that it's happening right there where like it makes sense intuitively, but it's not, there's not like a line necessarily. Like it's a mystical insight, you could say, or intuitive mist, like hard to actually pin down.
It's not like hard fact or hard logic, necessarily. I mean, it can be, but it's like it's the way like a thought like changes shape over time as new insights get integrated. It's like like not being attached to this is the truth and that's it, and it's not black and white. It's like always leaving things a little bit open to more symbolic interpretation, more
Yes.
symbolic understanding, like, or even if it's not symbolic, just something new, like turning the wheel, and it's like that kind of.
Yeah, it can feel like sometimes my head center can feel like a subjective labyrinth
Yeah.
where things are suggestive and I'll go down a rabbit hole where uh, this thing suggests this thing. There's always like a little shadowy insight behind a thing, and I might pursue that. And then sometimes I'll go back and like, I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole. And even the thing that I came up with, like I keep going down, like I'll have to go back down the same rabbit hole and it won't be the same insight that I come up with. Like it feels like there's
Yeah,
this
that's,
slippery thing going on where things are evocative, but they're not
yeah,
necessarily always solid.
because it's also like five mental spaces. They're not like attaching to things either, and
Yes.
emotions aren't really getting into like the thought process. It's just like it's just a mirror into something, and so you
Hmm.
have no choice but to just see it in this way and to see everything that's around it, and it, so it doesn't like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily delineate. Like it doesn't necessarily uh, end up neatly in the category, and so it doesn't necessarily always stick. And so that's why doing podcasts has been really interesting, just because like okay, this is a snapshot of whatever my head center was doing, and sometimes you listen back, and you're like, oh wow, that's actually good, insightful stuff that was happening. Maybe felt like channeled through insight that came from some intuitive place. But I don't necessarily have the, it's like it's missing the sort of hardline attachment stuff that would put, okay, that means this.
I don't
That's,
have the data to back it up. It's just what came out in that moment. It was a confluence of many things, and
hmm
I can't retrace my steps so easily because it just took a shape that is also sort of unknowable to me. As it's like and it doesn't need to be known or retraced exactly. Like I'm, you know,
yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, there's a kind of relationship, in this conversation about the abyss, there's kind of a relationship with being comfortable with not knowing, and like being comfortable with jumping into, I know that there's something leading me down this path. Like I know that I'm being called to go into that cave, and I know that something is going to come out the other side. But and I have to trust that my intuition or my own discernment at 4 is going to lead me to what I need to get.
mm,
And when we talk about like what the abyss represents collectively, that's what I think about. Is it is that underlying sense of nothingness. It's something that we're all afraid of. You could call it death, but like there are all these different deaths that you could experience throughout your life or in a process of doing things. And death could mean that there's a space here where I don't know what's going to happen between when I traverse these 2 points, but I need to traverse these 2 points. So there's varying degrees that people have a relationship to that, relationship to the void of, I know that I need to go through these 2 points, but there are all these different things that people are doing to avoid the void,
yeah,
to not have to experience those things. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that because we have 5 and 4 fixes, we're just like have a leg up on that, but
No, no, no. There's all the kinds of ways that I avoid it as well, and I'm
right.
sure like you do too. I mean, even like having a feeling or an idea of what's going to happen when you come out of the other side is already like stopping anything from happening to begin with. And
Yes.
it's easy to think this is the direction I want things to go in for myself, for my life in this situation or this context. And it's like you have to like go in blank and empty and like be in the experience completely for what it is. Like,
Hmm.
otherwise it's not going to do anything because there's too many like mental barriers that it can't penetrate because you've already got like your mind made up about what's going to happen. Like, and it's like scary and it's uncomfortable because
Yeah.
because those mental barriers don't exist, and you don't know, like you're saying, you don't know how you're going to come out. You don't know
Hmm.
what's going to happen actually, you know?
There's remember that that lady, that Lauren lady that I sent you on Twitter?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so she'd written something recently that I thought was really good. She was talking about when she was younger, saying prayers for things that she was really hoping for, and you could say prayer, manifesting, or
Yeah.
visualization, whatever. But it's calling certain things forth, and sometimes she was saying that I had written out or prayed about these very specific things, and then when I got them, I somehow felt empty, because even though I got what I wanted, it didn't resonate with me to the degree that I thought it was going to be. It was going to resonate. And, it's getting back to this thing about control, even something is, like praying or trying to manifest an idea. And I've had experiences before of where I've tried to become very clear about discernment, about, all right, this is what really aligns with me. And one thing I realized is, like, you end up getting the thing that you think is right for you, but like it's never ever as resonant as actually just allowing something to happen and just trusting your own discernment to bring you what truly resonates. Like, nature is so unpredictable and chaotic that it's scary to just trust that that's going to happen versus trying to control and say, I want these qualities, or I want this kind of job. And what you come up with yourself is never as good or interesting as what can unpredictably happen because of nature.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's sort of the void of, like, it's really, I don't care, even knowing this, it's scary to just trust nature, or just to trust that bottomless
Because it's
void.
not created by the human mind. It's like something else. It's like something adjacent to it. It like has its own intelligence, laws, way of working, and we can't control it. We can't bottle it up and package it like
Yes, yeah.
So I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about recently. I mean, I think there's degrees of trusting the abyss or the unknowable, the unknown, maybe in different areas of your life. Maybe someone creatively trusts the unknown to transform them, but in their relationships, they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be compartmentalized and you don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've been thinking about it recently, just in terms of personal transformation, and not only what it represents in the Enneagram, but what it represents symbolically, and how we're all contending with that in some kind of way, this despair of emptiness, or this fear of that empty space where anything can happen, and rebirth takes place. Because I mean, we are going to end up there eventually when we die.
Yeah,
So,
we are. We're gonna go. We're gonna go home.
yeah,
Things
go
might
home.
suck now, but one day we're gonna go home.
Return to source.
Yeah. Everyone get ready. No need to hate your life, because just know you will go home.
That's the
One
core
day.
9. You're going to go home. I was like, you're not going home. You're going somewhere.
That's home. Home.
You're going to the back rooms.
Our first true home. Where we're at now is a prison, and we're imprisoned here, but we're going to return. We just have to wait for our time to
Some
be
people
over.
are going to hell.
And maybe that's their home. Maybe that's where they came from, and they just have to go back.
I don't know if they came from hell. Some
We
people
don't
are
know
going,
that we don't know what's on Earth with us. We don't know who's what or anything.
that'd be an interesting episode. Like, I'd be interested to look into hell. Like, what?
I mean, actually, yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, I've seen okay, I think like even in the Michael teachings, I mean, they talk about heaven and hell as just like totally man-made.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're like, I mean, okay, they talk about the afterlife as like when you first die, like you're still kind of on Earth,
Yeah.
but as a spirit, and like your guides are like, yeah, like you died, you have, it's time to go,
Mm-hmm.
and Sometimes I think that they say it like on the astral plane, because the astral plane, from what I've read and seen, like that's where like it's like the place of imagination. It's like where you can think of something and it's instantly there, and like it's a very like slippery place, like
Mm-hmm.
imaginatively.
Yeah.
And it's probably very easy to create a hell if you're coming from Earth with all of this like baggage and heaviness, and maybe you did horrible things, and or you were just feeling things that were very heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and you have
Yeah.
you can't just move on and go in the light. You have to wrestle with these things that maybe you didn't
Mm-hmm.
process during your time on Earth, and maybe that's a very hellish experience. So,
Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, beyond just the Christian traditions,
or
what
yeah,
is hell?
hell.
Because, like, on a Baba Shakar, there are hells. Like, so Buddhism has hells. So, like, what are they all saying about whatever hell might be?
And about like what we have to reconcile with as people. Like, is it something, like just are we creating our own personal hells all the time and we don't realize it? Like,
Yeah.
because also, like, if we're going to talk about hell, then it's also like we talk about like liberation,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like being in a deep hell and then realizing, like, wait a second, can I manipulate something here? Can I make a different choice? And then that's like a very liberating
I think we should do an
thing.
episode on hell.
Yeah, actually, I would like that. I would enjoy that.